Alright, welcome to August 9th on Joe's Daily U.S. History Lesson. I am your host, Joseph DiCristoforo, and on this show, I'll point out the greatness in America. Because I love my country, the injustices of our government. Why? Because in this great country, we can. We have the freedom to actually talk about it, openly and publicly. I put together this podcast from America's finest city, San Diego, right here in my tool shed in my backyard. If you're looking to move to San Diego, or if you have any questions on real estate investments or properties or refinancing, check out teresaloves.realestate.com and then give her a call at 619-507-4906. That's 619-507-4906. And now let's begin the show as we customarily do with the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's everybody stand up, face the flags if we have one, and put our right hands over our hearts and begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very nice. And you can thank me for not singing the Star-Spangled Banner. Trust me, you don't want to hear me sing. Alright, so now moving on to today's headlines. The Battle of Cedar Creek Mountain, Manson cult kills 5 in Beverly Hills, Gretsky gets traded to the Kings, and Smokey the Bear debuts. Alright, so now let's do this! 1862. Battle of Cedar Creek Mountain. Union Major General Nathaniel Banks v. Confederate Major General Stonewall Jackson. The result? Confederate victory. It was the first combat of the Northern Virginia campaign. Major General John Pope was appointed to command the newly constituted Army of Virginia on June 26th. His mission was to move his troops through central Virginia and relieve the pressure on Major General George McLellan in the Shenandoah area, specifically the Blue Ridge Mountains. This area was the breadbasket of the Confederates, who were growing wheat to feed its troops. McLellan was recently defeated at the Battle of Malvern Hill, so General Robert E. Lee responded to Pope's movements by dispatching T.J.Stonewall Jackson with 14,000 men to Gordonsville in July. Jackson was later reinforced by A.P. Hill's division. Pope wanted the rail junction at Gordonsville, so he marched his forces south into Culpepper County towards that area. On August 9th, the Stonewall Brigade and Banks Corps tangled at Cedar Mountain. At first, Banks was on the attack, and Confederate General Charles S. Winder had fallen, mortally wounded. But then, Confederate counterattack, led by A.P. Hill, fought back and repulsed the Yankees and won the day. This battle shifted fighting in Virginia from the peninsula to Northern Virginia, giving Lee the upper hand. You can check out that scene at the intersection of Virginia State Route 15 and General Winder Road. That is, if you want to see the bloodied wheat fields from the American Civil War. 1969. Manson cult kills 5 people in Beverly Hills, California. Charles Manson was born in Cincy, Ohio in 1934 to an unwed 16-year-old alcoholic prostitute named Kathleen Maddox. Maddox couldn't raise Charles, so he wound up in the streets at a very young age, then in jail. He was released from jail in 1967, got into LSD, the song Helter Skelter by the Beatles, the Book of Revelations, Scientology, the Church of Final Judgment, and playing the guitar. He somehow gathered a group of followers, also on LSD and magic mushrooms, and convinced them there was an imminent war brewing between white and black people, and that he would be the religious leader behind it. This group grew to be about 100 people, mostly gullible girls, whom he called the family. Manson's idea was to instigate the war by killing rich white people and making it look like black people did it. Charlie's Angels struck first on August 9, 1969, at Roman Polanski's house in Beverly Hills. Polanski was famous for the movies Chinatown, Rosemary's Baby, and The Pianist, but he was not Manson's intended target. His target was the former occupier of the home, who turned Manson down for a recording contract. Polanski wasn't home, but his wife was, along with coffee goddess Abigail Folger. The next night, the family committed the grisly murders. The killing spree continued, and since Manson technically did not commit the murders, he could be tried for them when he was apprehended, but was indicted for convincing his angels to do the work for him. Instead of getting the death penalty, Charles Manson got life behind bars in a California prison, where he remains to this day. Charles Manson remains an icon of the cult movement, or whatever mumbo-jumbo you want to call it. 1988. In Canada news, NHL legend Wayne Gretsky gets traded to the LA Kings. Gretzky had won 8 Hart trophies in his 9th season with the Edmonton Oilers. Why am I bringing up a Canadian sport on a U.S. history show? Because when we say the National Hockey League, we mean the American National Hockey League, for one thing. Besides, few teams play the game better than the Los Angeles Kings. And not to mention, even though he's a knucklehead, Wayne Gretsky is still a great American. And finally, in 1944, Smokey the Bear debuts, educating us only you can prevent forest fires. Yeah, Smokey, except for one thing. Why does it only take one careless match to start a forest fire, but every time I go camping, it takes me the whole damn matchbook to light the damn fire and get down my second book of matches and I still can't get this fire started? All right, my friends, so that's going to wrap it up for August 9th on Joe's Daily U.S. History Lesson. Once again, I am your host, Joseph DeCristoforo. Check out the website, joesdailyusshistorylesson.com. And let me know what you thought about today's podcast. For instance, Civil War buffs, what's your take on the Battle of Cedar Creek Mountain? Anything you care to add to that story? Helter Skelter fans, if you Google a picture of Charles Manson, you can see the craziness in his eyes. You know, one eye goes this way, the other one goes that way. So yeah, let me know what you think about all those stories and so much more on the website. You can also take a crack at some of the multiple choice quizzes that are on there as well. And don't miss tomorrow's show. I'll talk about Herbert Hoover, Missouri, the Monopoly board game, and the Smithsonian. So don't miss that. In the meantime, you can catch me on Facebook and Twitter. My Twitter handle is JDUSHL. And until then, thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for being great patriotic Americans. See you then.